Well, welcome everyone, and welcome to our industry panel presentation today. We have keynote speakers from 3 different countries. We have Roberta Garibaldi from Italy, we have Gabi Zimmer from Uruguay, and we have Jay Karen from the United States. So we are really having a global reach with our conference, and I'm so glad and honored to have these keynote speakers here with us. So I'm going to share the screen, and unfortunately, Roberta had a conflict with the schedule. She works for the Italian government as well, and she was kind and sent me a video, which I will be showing first. And so before that, let me share the screen here. Okay. Can you all see the screen? Can you see the screen? Okay, thank you. Hi, Gabi.
Hi.
I'm going to do that. So, okay. All right, welcome. So each panelist has about 20 minutes time. So as I said, for Roberta, we'll show a video, and then we have 15 minutes for each panelist to present, and then 5 minutes for question and answer, and we have a total of an hour. I think since Roberta will not be presenting, it's not going to be live, we'll have more time for Jay and Gabi to answer. So I'm just going to introduce each one of you. And so Roberta, she's the CEO of the Italian National Tourism Agency, and she's also a professor at University of Bergamo in Italy. She's a well-known personality within the framework of tourism, wine tourism, and gastronomic tourism, and now she's getting into oil tourism. In fact, we are conducting research about oil tourism in Italy and Spain. So she holds various positions as a national, international level, including Council of the Italian Minister of Tourism on Food and Wine Tourism. She serves on the board of directors of the World Food Travel Association, advisory board of the World Gastronomic Institute, and the president of the council, sister. A lot of it to read. I won't go through each word, but she authored numerous essays in Italian foreign journals and several books. She's a keynote speaker at major international tourism event, and she's a member of the UNW, the World Trade Organization, and the Tourism Agency, and the World Economic Forum in Davos. So a lot of hats. And Jay, I have to tell you, Jay is not a stranger to hospitality. He wears many different hats, as worn that before. So he leads the Golf Industry Trade Association and the Initiative for Golf Course Business. He has chaired the board of Industry-Wide Advocacy Coalition. We Golf served on the Golf USA Team Time Coalition board and on the advisory board of the World Golf Hall of Fame. He has been featured in major news media like Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, and New York Times, and I can add that he continues to be featured in those outlets for his insight on golf industry. He has also served as the CEO of 2 associations to do with the lodging and hospitality industry. He's a certified association executive by SCA, which we work with. Currently, he serves on the board of directors of U.S. Travel Association. Jay is an honorary commander of Joint Military Base in Charleston, and we welcome our military, and a mentor of the College of Charleston MBA program, and an associate member of the PGA of America. Jay, you are very welcome to our presentation here. And then with Gabi, I can only describe Gabi as a rising star in the wine industry of South America. And I've never been to Uruguay, but I love Uruguay. I just finished, I published a paper on Uruguayan wine, and Gabi provided me some good information. She helped me out with that. So she's a Uruguayan wine communicator and consultant. She was born in Montevideo, Uruguay, and has traveled around the world to learn about wine. She still does. She's a professional sommelier and is a candidate for the Wine and Spirit Education Trust Institute from London. She is now writing the first book about Uruguayan wines, which is needed. There's nothing there. And a journey through history and terroir Uruguayan wines. She's also the founder of Tinta Wine, a marketing agency specializing in marketing communication, content, and trade marketing in the wine industry. Gabi is the producer of the Uruguayan Yearly Wine Harvest Report. And she, like Jay, they are very, and Roberta too, very active on LinkedIn with a lot of many followers. Okay, having said that, so I'm gonna share here the screen the video that Roberta sent. So this was the question for Roberta. Please pay attention to the video. There's a lot of new stuff that we never heard before. Okay, especially about wine tourism. Okay, so I asked her, what are the current and future developments in tourism in Europe, specifically wine, oil, and eno-gastronomic tourism? Which countries lead in these segments of the tourism industry, and how do these developments impact the hospitality industry as a whole, such as the economic impact, employment, or the need for educational institutions to adapt to change, especially technology? So please pay attention to the video.
Hello, it's really a pleasure today to present to you new trends in food tourism. In my research, I defined 5 kinds of new trends: the taste of value, active, demanding, innovative food tourism, never-ending food tourism, new places and new spaces, and well-being. We can start from active, demanding, and innovative food tourism. I can present now some data regarding the new traveler in Italy. Here you can see the difference between 2019 and 2021. The availability of food experiences is important to me when I choose a destination. In 2019, the situation was 59% of all Italian travelers said that was important. In 2021, 71%. It's really a huge number. Quite 7 travelers on 10 think that food is so important when you have to choose the destination. And this is something that is from the younger to the older people. It's very important then when we want to describe a destination, speak about the food experiences that is possible to live there. And if you analyze the situation in Italy, we can see an increasing number of food tourists. And you can see what happened from 2016 to 2021. And this is something that we can see around the world. These are the data that we collected with the Food Travel Monitor, and in 2016 and in 2020. And so you can see that in Europe and North America, we are around 45% of all travelers are food tourists. And in countries like Mexico and China, we have numbers more important. And which are the most important things for the travelers when they are choosing the destination? At first place, we can find the beauty and integrity of the landscape. At second place, we can see local culture, traditions relating to or not to gastronomy. And then you can see all the other inputs related to food, and you can see that they are very important, all of them. It's people want to live this kind of experiences and this kind of information related food culture, both on holiday than when they are at home. And the cultural dimension of tourism is also very important, because the people live this kind of experiences as a way to increase knowledge about the culture of the area. And when we analyze the psycho-culinary profile, we do it from 2016 with World Food Travel Association, we can see that year after year, we see something different. Now we see in Italy a very strong importance of innovation. People are tired to live the same experiences, tired about COVID, and they want something new. And so if we analyze the situation in 2016, authentic was the most important fact, and now instead we have innovative. People want to live different experiences and new experiences. And we can see that they are a little tired about, for example, wineries, because they offer similar to proposals that are too similar. And so we have to approach the tourist with something new, something different. And every 6 months, every year, we have to change and offer something new. This is very important. Which kind of new experiences we can present? In Italy, we saw a really increasing number, for example, of picnic in the vineyard, in the rural areas, and an increasing interest related to grape harvest for tourists, olive harvest, dining in the vineyards. Surely outdoor activities had a great increase in last years. And an increasing number of choosing independent visits. It's not possible to find so often into the wineries or sites of food production, for security reason too, but it's possible to organize something in this way. And so we saw how it was important in this period where people don't want to stay in group. And another theme is new spaces and new places. We saw that the most important psycho-culinary profile was innovative tourist. And we find this here too, because we asked to the people, have you stayed mainly and where would you like to stay? And we can see, for example, an increasing number of people that want to live an experience on a tree house, in gambling, food or wine themed hotel. So they want something new, something that can offer them innovation. This is an example of a thematic hotel in Italy, and you can see the harvests that are organized like the waves of the sea, with the tree that are island in the sea, and with the olive tree and olive oil tree. And it's an interesting example of a thematic wine hotel. And we can see in Italy a new role of food in hotel. It's more important to offer typical food, for example, breakfast with local food and typical food. And so there are new activities and new related to this topic. And relating to new spaces and a new way to live the spaces. And we saw, and we are we can find in Italy a lot of new projects related to bicycle and to live rural areas and food and wine areas by bicycle. And the theme of bike and taste is really interesting for the tourists. By now, you can see here, for example, a double number of people that are interested in bike from 2019 to 2021. And another theme is a new link between urban areas and rural areas. And so we can see that the food and the production of food goes into the cities. For example, here we can see the olive oil of Colosseum area in Rome. And we can see that there are new links from the city to the rural areas. For example, we can find food and wine hub that can bring the people to the rural areas. And World of Wine, for example, in Portugal is an example, a very interesting example developed in Portugal. And these are what Italian people expect to find in a food and wine hub. So this could be a place where you can find information related to the food and wine experiences, presentation of experiences that you can find in the rural areas, and the possibility to book the experiences, perhaps to rent the bike to go there. And perhaps you can buy food, you can have some courses and education related to food waste, for example, and cooking classes, and so on. Another very strong theme is the well-being. And so we can see examples of wine and beer spa. I would like to enjoy wellness treatments in the vineyards, for example. 50% of all the travelers are interested about that. Wellness, I would like to find opportunities and activities to restore myself, reschedule my daily habits, and adopt a healthier lifestyle. We are tired about long situation about of COVID, and want to find a new balance for my body and mind. I would like to do activities that help restore mental well-being, such as yoga, classes in the vineyards, and I would like to go hiking or jogging in the vineyards. Or the theme of forest bathing. And people now, we hope that COVID is really finished, but we don't want to stay in crowded places anymore. And then we love to live in places where it's possible to have natural distancing. And this could be a good example of places. Related to new places, we can find tours and paths that can be a very interesting experience of smell, olfactory, or tours. And these are two examples in Italy. And another interesting theme is sustainability. We all know about this, and it's more and more important, and we can find information related to the, for example, in Skyscanner or in Booking, we have information about the flights that are have a lower impact on or the hotels that have the lower impact. This is important for the wineries too. And here, for example, I present to you a winery in Italy that present outside or inside of the tour information about the actions that they did for the environment. And so this is a very important theme. It's not possible for me. I don't have the time to analyze everything, all the impacts related to sustainability on food and wine tours. We have to study a lot of different points of view, and there are a lot of good examples, but I think it is necessary to do a step ahead, creating a certification that really can work on food and wine tours and sustainability. Going in deep into this topic and not to have only a general certification related to food and wine. This could help the sector to go really into not greenwashing, but a really strong certification. Sustainability. Thank you.
Well, a big thank you to Roberta, and I will make the video available so that anyone can download. If anyone wants to connect with Roberta, especially about some data that she's shown there and some information about those new ideas, most of it I didn't even know myself, about all the opportunities that wineries have together with hospitality. Great innovation from New Zealand. She took us on a tour of the world in a few minutes. So please send me an email, camillo@sonoma.edu, and I'll connect you with Roberta. She's very active on LinkedIn. As I said, all three panelists here, you can follow them, connect with them. All right, so next, and by the way, I forgot to mention in the beginning that this session is being recorded, so will be made available to everybody, so you can download the video later, and we'll send follow-up instruction for that. Okay, so next we'll go to Jay. So Jay, I had a question for you, and I know you will have a great presentation as well. The golf course hospitality segment has been and continues to be part of the hospitality industry. This is one area where really there's not much emphasis from the hospitality education point of view, I find. I could be wrong. Another area is marinas. There's huge involvement in food and beverage, but I know the golf courses, and I think a big breakthrough was when California allowed to sell alcohol on golf courses. This became a real big and extra revenue for golf because they couldn't do this in the past. Okay, as you know, I told you we have a great golf course all over California where we are located, Napa Valley and Sonoma and so on. So please give the audience an insight into your industry, its economic impact, and the future trends of the industry are. What are they? Also, can hospitality education programs address the need of hospitality professionals who choose to work in a golf course hospitality? All right, it's all yours. You can share your screen.
Okay, let's see. So you're saying, Dr. Camillo, that there's no hospitality unless there's alcohol?
Well, I'm a winemaker. I teach about wine, and why drink water if there is 85% water in wine? I'd rather have a wine that makes me happy. Right?
I agree with you very much so. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, good afternoon, everyone from Charleston, South Carolina, which is a great tourism destination for food as well and golf. But it's a pleasure to be with you. I'll give you kind of a 30,000-foot view of the golf industry, which is firmly planted in the hospitality industry, but like you're saying, it's often overlooked, with the exception of probably the great resorts around America and the best known private clubs. I think there's pretty good awareness of the hospitality that is at a Pebble Beach resort or Kiowa Island or you name it, and the best private clubs of the world. But that's a very small minority of the entire golf industry, those segments. So I'll get into that a little bit. So what I'm going to do today is give you a little bit of a kind of a SWOT analysis of our industry, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of what's happening in our industry. And I'll end with a little something with regard to hospitality educators, maybe some opportunities there. And I've been in association management and leadership for 25 years. 16 of that have been in the golf industry, and 9 in the lodging and hospitality industry. I used to run the National Association for the Bed and Breakfast and Boutique Hotel industry in America, and it was a really good run. And so I got to know some wonderful people in the industry. From Roberta's presentation, something I found interesting is that concept of forest bathing. I'm going to start calling golf fields of grass bathing. So if you're interested in bathing in fields of grass, I encourage you to come out and play the great game of golf. But without further ado, let me tell you a little bit about climate change in our industry. When I refer to climate change, I don't just mean the environment that everybody thinks of, but I'm talking about the economic climate, the political climate, cultural climate, demographics, and the environment itself. I'm going to touch on all of those. All of those briefly as I go through what's happening in the U.S. golf economy. But just a quick snapshot of kind of the economic impact of our industry in the United States. The total economic impact of just the golf economy itself is about $84 billion in the United States. But if you look at the external impacts of the golf industry, things like the impact on the value of real estate and home values across the country, because how many homes are located on golf courses and have the increase in home value because of that amenity, we're looking at more of a $192 billion economic impact overall in the United States. We impact about 2 million jobs, and we raise through golf about $4 billion annually is raised for charity. And golf is the tool that is used in so many charitable fundraisers around America. Thousands and thousands and thousands of golf tournaments are held to benefit charities, and it totals up to about $4 billion, which is more than all of the other sports combined, essentially. So it's a nice thing that we're able to do in the charitable economy. In 2020, 504 million rounds of golf were played in the United States, and preliminary numbers from 2021 show that it'll be more than that number, just because we're experiencing a bit of a boom right now that I'll talk about. And what a lot of people don't know is because one of the top 3 objections to why people don't play golf or why they give up the golf is they say it's too expensive. It's one of the top 3 commonly cited objections or hurdles. But the average fee to play around a golf in the United States is $36 at a public golf course. And that's average. So you got to think if that's average, then there are a lot that are a lot less than that as well. It's just an image problem we have, because so much of the image of golf is the nicest places in America tend to dominate the imagery and the marketing, and people forget about all the neighborhood golf courses that are out there where golf is really played. And so we'll get into that in a moment. So when we look at the history of golf, well, actually, I want to talk about supply and demand before I get into kind of the strengths and weaknesses and threats in our industry. We saw an enormous increase in the construction of golf courses over here, the decades that you can see on the screen. Primarily, there was a new boom in the 90s and into the 2000s because of the housing market. Home builders were making golf courses a central amenity to their developments. So there was this enormous supply increase at a time, which I'll show you, when demand was not really increasing. And so there was this overexuberance for golf in the housing market, and demand, despite the Tiger Woods phenomenon, was still, kind of creeping and flattening, which led to some problems. And then there's been a reduction in the golf course supply over the last 15 years. You can see the curve going down. And a lot of that has to do with, one, there was an oversupply. When you have oversupply and flattening demand, some businesses simply aren't going to survive. But the story that's not told as to why a lot of golf courses are closing is because the real estate is worth so much more than the business of golf. What we like to say is the dirt is worth more than the grass. And so you have courses that are cashing out for millions of dollars because of the housing market. More houses want to be built on these 250-acre parcels of land. So that's a big reason why there's also a contraction in the supply. When you look at the type of facilities in America, we are dominated. The daily fee in the municipal golf category there are public access golf courses. So about almost 75% of all golf courses in the United States are accessible by the public. That's, again, the perception of golf sometimes is the reverse of that, is that the private clubs dominate the landscape, and they really don't. But that's just a little bit of a history there. I would say when you see this sharp rise in supply and interest in the game, that really has a lot to do with Arnold Palmer and the advent of televised golf in the 1950s and 60s really sparked a revolution in interest in the game. So that's why we see such an enormous increase in the mid 20th century. When we look at participation, people who play the game of golf, it's interesting because now in our industry, we compile on-course and off-course participation, because off-course participation really has risen sharply because of the advent of places like Topgolf. And I mean, and talk about the intersection, Dr. Camillo, of golf and hospitality. I mean, Topgolf is a place where you go and you beat, some balls, out there and have a good time, but you're really there to drink and eat and have fun. And it's all about the hospitality experience too. In fact, Topgolf, they hired a CEO about a year ago, and they didn't hire someone from the golf industry. They hired someone from the food and beverage industry to run Topgolf. And so we're right there at the intersection. But there's so much happening in the off-course space that we're starting to calculate the two together. But when we look at the traditional industry, the darker green bars that you see there, our peak, which you can't see, that's off the chart, about 15 years ago was 30 million Americans playing the game of golf. And we had a precipitous decline into the 21st century here. You can see 24 million, 23 million, and then back up to 24. And now we're seeing a rise back up into the 25 million mark because of the pandemic drove a lot of people to our sport and our game in 2020 and 2021. So, it's overall, if we looked at the balance sheet of golf and supply and demand, it's a very strong balance sheet. We still have nearly 30 million people playing on the course, and 25 million people playing off course. You combine the two, because a lot of people play both. We're looking at nearly 40 million Americans that pick up a golf club and go out there and do something at some point during the year. It's still a great industry, very strong industry. So looking at strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, what's happening in our industry, I want to start with the weaknesses and the threats that we deal with in our industry that are struggling. You know, these are points of struggle for our industry in many cases, although we're working hard to overcome them. One of them, it has to do with price. You know, I mentioned the supply and demand realities in our industry. When you have growing supply and contracting demand, what often happens in an industry is the prices come down because the competitors, the golf courses, are fearful that they're going to lose their customers, and they compete on price instead of value oftentimes. So we saw 15 solid years where golf, the price of golf was either going down in some markets or staying flat. And over a 15-year period, 15 years ago, golf also cost $36 a round. When you look at the consumer price index, where everything else in your life, the price has gone up over the last 15 years. But by virtue of that, that means golf is actually cheaper than ever. It's really an affordable activity for Americans to play. But one of the contributing factors to the difficulties we've been experiencing in price and revenue in our industry has been, what we call online tea time agencies. In the hotel industry, in the travel industry, they call them online travel agencies. We call them the online tea time agencies. And they have essentially, and I won't get into the business model today, Angelo, but essentially there's only one in our industry. Imagine if you were in the travel industry and Expedia was the only game in town, there were no competitors. In the golf industry, we only have one. It's called Golf Now. And they heavily market on the discount message, 80% off of golf and, save, save, save. And that helped accelerate the downward trend of prices in our industry. And that's a difficult situation it was pre-COVID. COVID has changed the DNA of a lot of this recently because now we're in a high demand market. But that's just one of the contributing factors to the supply and demand crisis.
Yeah, you have about 5 minutes left.
Okay, great. All right, so under the weaknesses that we have, the demographics in our industry have not been so good. We've been dominated by white male Americans playing, working in the sport. And that's a shrinking demographic in America. And so, we have work to do on that front. There is actual climate change happening in our industry where it's getting drier out west, and we're having difficulty to access water to keep our golf courses alive. From a workplace standpoint, we have labor problems. We're having trouble fielding agronomic positions. The superintendents have trouble fielding staff, and food and beverage. We're having just like the restaurant industry. So we're having troubles there. Consumer expectations. We live in a world where consumers live by Amazon Prime, Uber Eats, instant gratification. And you go to a golf course today and it's kind of old-fashioned service. It's actually even hard to get food and beverage delivered out to you at the golf course. If you can get DoorDash delivered to you in an hour at your facility, but most golf courses, you have to wait to see the food and beverage truck before you can get your food and beverage. So we've got a lot of work to do to match the golfer experience with what consumers are experiencing outside of golf. And government is seeing golf as a prime target for increased taxation and other issues. So that's something we're constantly battling in our industry. And so how do we turn some of these threats into opportunities? Well, a few things that are really happening that are pretty wonderful. Golf entertainment, golf simulators, and all of this really, wonderful technology that's out there in our space. We're capturing that and growing business out of it. We're adding simulators to golf courses, adding food and beverage and hospitality. So we're expanding, what's offered at a golf course where the lights are going to be on at night, and it'll be a place at night that you can go and enjoy as well. The pandemic demand, we were one of the few activities that remained open during the pandemic, and people discovered and rediscovered the game. So we're seeing an enormous impact in demand for the game. Workforce flexibility, all these people now working from home, they're taking afternoons off and they're taking flex time, and they're now going out midweek to play golf, where we used to live and die by the weekend. And now we're seeing a lot of play during midweek, which is a wonderful trend. Land stewardship, there's golf has a bad reputation, and it's unwarranted in most cases, where, they're doing nothing but pouring fertilizer into the land. But golf course superintendents and golf course owners are true stewards of the land. We got to flip the script and tell about the good things that we're doing on the land of golf courses. And lastly, demographics. So much good work is being done in our industry to welcome women and people of color into playing the game, working at golf courses. All the national associations are working together on a lot of diversity, equity, inclusion initiatives to really change those demographics in our sport, in our game, in our industry. So we're very excited about that. So the last thing I'll leave you with is, a reminder that golf is hospitality. We have 15,000 properties all across the country. It's a great place to work for many reasons. The versatility of working at a golf course. You can learn food and beverage, agronomics, sport, event business, all of the above. It's a pretty wonderful place. You'll get to meet people from all walks of life, from captains of industries and politicians to your local, restaurant owners and other people. So it's a really wonderful place to see everybody. And it's a very stable business. It's actually hard to get out of business, out of the golf business, where restaurants, sometimes can come and go pretty quickly if they don't succeed. Golf courses tend to stay open because of a lot of other reasons. But in our industry, Angelo, we are looking for hospitality expertise. Finally, golf is kind of a typical echo chamber industry. We like golf people. We like golf people to run the classes, run the education. I think there's now an expansion, and we're opening the doors to the industry to welcome in people with hospitality experience, because finally learning that this is a hospitality business inside of our industry. We have very little interaction right now with hospitality schools. Most of our interaction in the golf industry is with what we call professional golf management degree programs. There are several universities that have golf management degrees. We need to do more to intersect with hospitality programs. And there's no question about it. And for all the faculty that are out there, in the land of hospitality education, there are teaching opportunities in our industry, locally and nationally, at conferences all the time, whether it's the National Golf Course Owners Association, the PGA of America, or the Club Management Association of America. We all have local chapters across the country, always looking for great speeches and presentations at our regional and annual meetings throughout the year. So, lots of opportunity there. Here's my contact information. Follow me on LinkedIn and Twitter, and would love to help, connect the dots for anybody interested in the golf industry. With that, Angelo, I'm happy to take any questions that might have been surfaced.
Thank you very much. You can stop your screen sharing.
You got it.
You can see some people. Thank you very much. What a great, the 90% I didn't know. But I know not only about playing golf and teaching, there's also very little research about that. So I want to encourage all my colleagues, please, let's get together and let's do some scientific research about golf too. It's really a great opportunity. So we have a couple of minutes for question and answer. Anyone has a question would like to ask? And if not, Jay's available. I say, I'm connected with him on LinkedIn. And he's very active on LinkedIn. He travels all over the country. You see a lot of pictures with dignitaries and others. And if you have a specific question, you can address him personally. Golf and whiskey in Scotland, yeah.
I like that.
Oh yeah, I love hot toddies too on a golf course. They really make you warm. Oh, a nice vin brûlée, a nice mullet wine, good too. All right. So, okay. I see really no question on the chat. I had posted on the chat. So having said that, please stand with us. Jay, don't leave us. And we have Gabi. She's going to talk to us about Uruguay. It's all yours, Gabi, but I just want to say compliments to your president, to your country. You are the only country that I know that is export surplus. Congratulations. Congratulations. You are totally independent, except for oil. And now let's have something about good wine. Yes. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm gonna share. I was seeing Roberta and Jay's presentation, and they have a lot of stats. And Uruguay, as Camillo says, we are, he says about me very gently that I'm a rising star. I think Uruguay is a rising star too. And we don't have much history in the wine tourism or the wine production, but we have a lot of future and very good opportunities to grow and to expand our extensions. So I'm gonna show you a little insight about Uruguayan wines and also the importance of tourism. Okay, just to the next slide, please. Just to show you where Uruguay is, because everyone asked me, we are so little in the South America. We are next to Brazil and Argentina, that are very big countries, and we are a little country in between, but we are in one of the Southern Hemisphere's territories for cultivations of vines. So we have a very good atmosphere and climate and soils to grow perfect conditions grapes. And the next slide, please. Some numbers about our country. We are 3.5 million. So we are very little still, and this is the country are divided into departments, and well, we are very little indeed of the land area. Next, please. So some numbers on the Uruguayan wine industry. We have very little vineyards, mostly are in the south region. I'm going to show you later. And 76% of the grapes are red and the rest are white. We have 6 wine regions, and we are pretty good drinkers of wine, and 160 wineries nowadays. Most of the wineries are familiar wineries run by family. Next, please. And well, I want to show you some pictures about Uruguay. This is Montevideo. This is a vineyard in the south. Next, please. This is Boza. This is also the. It's one. I want to show you this because it's one of the best representatives of wine tourism in the country. They worked 10 years on the wine tourism, and they have a restaurant, and they are investing a lot in this area, and it's really close to Montevideo, so they get a lot of visitors. Please, next one. Well, these are the Uruguayan wine regions, and we have 6. And most of the wineries are in the south, close to the capital, Montevideo. So it's really good and accessible to visit. We also get a lot of tourism in Colonia, that is really across Buenos Aires. So we get a lot of visitors from there. And yeah, we are a developing country with a lot of, Camillo, can you show it? Sorry for the, okay, next, please. Yes, well, for wineries in the last 5 years are getting to get involved in wine tourism, and carrying out activities in the vineyards is an opportunity to open the doors for visitors and to generate contacts, position their brand, and achieve the loyalty of the visitors. They see it as a way as well to increase income by doing activities, and mostly the brand awareness and the loyalty of the consumers. Please, next. Next, please. Camillo?
Yep.
Well, activities in the vineyards are picnics. As Roberta says, we take a lot of ideas from Europe, and we have picnics, we have spa, we have restaurants, and also activities in the vineyard like yoga and trekking. And this is kind of developing around the years. And some of the challenges for Uruguayan wineries is that it's different to sell a product than a service. And wineries are in this transition of understanding they need to have better facilities to receive the visitors, and also train staff to share the brand. And of course, they have to have clear their story and to have their products ready to serve and to give the visitors a good experience with great activities. And Uruguayans are working towards specializing this these events in the vineyard, in their wineries. It's a challenge. It's really a challenge for everybody to improve their actual offer. And I think from the consumer's point of view, if you're a wine lover, if you like wine, of course, but here I live in Punta del Este, for example, that is the most famous seaside town in Uruguay. And a lot of people, like today that is rainy here, people, when they can't go to the beach in the summer, I mean, they can visit vineyards that are very close to the ocean here in Uruguay. So it's a very unique opportunity for wineries to work on wine tourism. And I traveled a lot, as Camillo said before. I love wine tourism. I visited over 100 wineries all around the world. And now I'm working with wineries here in Uruguay to help them take their message to the world. Next, please.
Very good. We have about 5 minutes left.
Yeah, it's just some pictures to show you some of the activities that the wineries can offer to their visitors. Night harvesting. This is pretty cool in experience, and people love it. And also, well, as I show you, for picnics and lunches. And now, for example, it's harvest time here in Uruguay. So there are a lot of activities around harvest to pick grapes and to enjoy this moment that is so important for the wine industry. Next, please. This is, well, I want to show you with this picture that we are very close to the Atlantic Ocean, and these are some vineyards here in Uruguay. And this is just a very short video that I will send you later the link to share with people. I can share you here in the chat. That Los Caminos del Vino, it's an organization of 18 wineries here in Uruguay that work together to promote their activities. And they're doing great work. Just 18, but we are, as I told you, very, very little. So 18 is a good number for Uruguay. And they are doing a great work on communication. All
right. So I got to stop here because of a time constraint. I have to say, very impressive presentation, all of you. And I love Uruguay. I've never been there. But I'm conducting a second research, and you have been very, very collaborative. So I want to encourage all my colleagues not only to visit, but also to experience what they are trying to do. They are working all over South America with Europeans, with American scientists to develop, new grapes, new rootstocks, new things. I know that Uruguay is working with a lot of scientists. So any question you have for the panelists here? Any question for Gabi? Don't hear anything. No, nothing to do. The most famous wine in Uruguay right now is the Tinta. The Tinta is a French grape. We didn't mention that. French grape, originally from Moderator in south of France, and is having great success with. And what I like, Gabi, is that the wine industry is having a very good price point around the world. Tinta sells here in Napa for $81 a bottle, one of the least expensive. So it's very good, promising. Very good.
Yes, so, Tinta is our flagship grape, and we have a great diversity.
So I encourage all the people in the audience, and when we post this video, you can contact Gabi and Jay and Roberta directly. Please hook up with them on LinkedIn. They have a great resource, and they are very active. They're there every day. And if you speak Spanish, Gabi will love to talk to you in Spanish or Portuguese. She speaks 4 or 5 languages. Very good. Okay. Do you see, okay, hold on, fruit flavors, what was that? Do you see fruit flavored wines? No question, but do you see the latest trend in Europe is fruit, do you see anything in your
Yes.
industry, fruit flavored wines?
No, in Uruguay, no. In Brazil, they're pretty working on that, but here in Uruguay, not yet.
Very good. Any other questions before we close? Okay, thank you. And so the recording will be available. We'll send you the link so you can download it for yourself. Gabi, thank you very much. Best regards to Bodega Garzon and Christian and everybody else that I had a pleasure to meet. Great session. Thank you, Jay. And please teach me how to play golf because I really need it.
You teach me how to drink. I'll teach you how to play golf.
Yes, and you know, we would like to hook up to connect with the golf industry in hospitality. I know my colleagues may share the same thoughts. Yes. There's a need for that, including the marinas, like I advocated before. All right. So to all my colleagues and all the participants, thank you very much for being here. Thank you, Gabi. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you, Jay. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Have a great day.